Listen to the Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Golseth.
It is Tuesday, February 26th. You're laughing like you thought it was Monday.
It feels like a Monday again.
It's not. It's not
like
the
the
Monday.
Mondayest of Tuesdays now. I'm just having a week of Mondays. It's fine.
No, Mondays end on Monday. It is Tuesday, and we have some good stuff for you today.
Hey, I'm biking home today.
Are you?
Yeah.
Good for you.
I haven't been on my bike from here in like a month and a half.
Supposed to be in the 40s today, so.
It's supposed to be in the 50s.
50s, wow.
Yeah,
I got that wrong.
No,
apparently.
I'm so excited.
I've not read the forecast enough. Actually avoid it lately.
Yeah, I
it's
don't
not
even.
been encouraging.
It's yeah. No.
Speaking of encouraging, have you? What does it take to be a writer?
It's a really good question.
It's a good question, and we're going to talk with one of our favorite authors about that in just a little bit. Thanks to our friends at Concordia University, Wisconsin. CUW.edu is the website for Concordia University, Wisconsin. And I was on their website yesterday, actually, looking up some information. No, I'm not working on another degree.
I'm not sure I believe you.
If my wife is listening, I'm not working on my umpteenth degree, although that would be fun.
Perpetual student.
But was looking on their website and looking for professor information, scheduling interviews, that sort of thing. And
doing our jobs,
There are so many classes there that I want to take. So, in my spare time.
So everybody else should vicariously take classes for you.
That's what I'm saying.
And then just, tell you about them.
Yeah, exactly. CUW.edu is the website to check out for Concordia University, Wisconsin. Live Uncommon. So we're going to talk with someone who's great at something that I am not, which is really exciting, so I can live vicariously through her. Katie Schuermann is author of a whole slew of books, great books. He Restores My Soul. He Remembers the Barren.
The series that I can't think of the name right now. Yeah, that one.
Good morning, Katie.
Called the Anthems of Science series.
Thank you.
We just set that up for you to tell us.
That's it. Oh, so good to have you with us this morning, Katie. Thanks for joining us.
It's great to be with you on the second Monday of the week.
Wah, wah.
Do you have days like that, too, where it seems like Monday all over again? Or as a writer, you just have no calendar and no schedule, right?
I have no calendar. Well, I
It's
have
like
a
being
calendar,
retired.
but I have no sense of grounding insofar as what day it is, except for Sunday. Sunday really sticks out to me.
That's probably a good thing.
Yeah, every other day is kind of, I don't know what the name of it is, but it's a day.
It's a day that ends in Y. Why did I even get out at no?
So I saw a picture of yours on Twitter last month at some point, and it was this teaser.
Which is where all good interviews begin. I saw a picture on Twitter.
I do get a lot of good stuff from Twitter. But it was a teaser, and it said Chapter 1. And I went, ooh, this is exciting. So is there anything in the works from you?
There is. And works is a great word for it. There's a lot of work going on right now. And I can't quite swim my way through all of it to any sense of clear direction. But yes, I am trying to start my fourth fiction book. And I should restate that. I have started my fourth fiction book, and I, at this point, have a good, clear sense of direction of where it's going.
That's
but
good.
ask me when I posted that picture, Sarah, and we would have just been crying, and you would have been handing me tissues. So,
So what? I'm curious about the process that goes on before you even start writing. What happens? What's the thought process or the I don't know, journey, experiences, whatever buzzword you want to use that happens before you even start writing a chapter?
I have had a variety of different experiences, and I have found that the variation comes with the difference in each book. When it comes to nonfiction, oftentimes the thought process ahead of starting that book is one of organization, one of usually you have a thesis or a theme, an idea, something true that you want to contemplate, to ponder, to meditate on, to expound upon. And so the organization takes the form of just kind of brain dumping, where everything, every bit of stimulation you're taking in that has to do with that topic, you just start to organize it together. And so that can be kind of an overwhelming experience of just, where is my piece of paper? Where is the pen? And I'm sorry, is this what I wrote on yesterday? Where's the thing I wrote on yesterday? So it's kind of just a bit of a chaotic cloud of activity, trying to take what is atmospheric and turning it into something real and tangible.
Okay, you mentioned pen and paper. Is that a certain part of the process? Because at some point in time, it has to come down to a keyboard and typing this too, unless you
you want to longhand the whole thing,
right? And then have someone I
watched a movie about that one.
So, are pen and paper part of your process, and is it important to your process?
Yes and no.
Good Lutheran answer.
Full disclosure: I have many methods of taking notes. And I use the method that is nearest at hand in the moment. I am an iPhone user, and I have a Notes app, and it is not uncommon to see me grab my phone and just start typing a note to myself. The benefit of that is that I can then text that information to myself or email it to myself, which... or I'm sure there's a fancier, faster way to do it, but every girl has her own process, and I don't like my process interrupted. So there's a way for me to get that note onto my laptop. What I don't like about that is it's too immediate. That may sound counterintuitive, but sometimes the process of writing is not just getting the information as fast as you can to where you need it. Sometimes just in the physical act of writing it down, my brain is processing it a different way. And I have found that when I write something with my hand, it makes a different kind of impression on me. Mm-hmm. I remember it in a different way. It's less expendable. And because it's written down, I have to encounter it more often. Like you said, Andy, I have to actually then compute it. I have to put it into my laptop. And that extra action is just another imprint on my brain. And so I have actually found, like, for example, where fiction can be different than nonfiction, like the head game ahead of it, it's more creative. It's more imagining things and trying to make those imaginations real. And if you think about it, pen and paper, writing longhand is a very real experience. It's physical. And so that can be a way of me making real what before was just in my head. And I also am a third grade girl at heart. I love pens and colors and stencils and lined paper. And so I also just enjoy the act of writing things down. And I have found that I am most at home in a writing environment where all those notes I've taken, all those maps that I've drawn, all those flow charts I've made, all of the family trees that I've constructed, I feel most at home when those things are hanging up on my walls or hanging on a little clothesline across the room or scattered across my desk. Something about that is a very fertile, creative environment for me, whereas I can take the exact same notes on the computer and print them out, but my eye doesn't fall in love with that information the same way it does when I see it in my own hand. So there is something to finding a method that spurs creativity, that keeps your creative process going, that engages you, because writing takes a very long time. Books don't happen in a night, and so anything you can find that helps you enjoy the process more. Mm-hmm. Sarah, I often think of you with your bike riding, right? You just find things out about yourself in these long sports, right? Mm-hmm. That you learn your coping mechanisms, you learn what actually does inspire you to go beyond your own physical capability. Writing is very similar in that regard. You just find these things that help you continue beyond when your brain says, no, it's another Monday.
So I'm not a wordsmith here, but is the word cathartic appropriate here?
Ooh, I love that word.
I do too, and I felt moved to use it.
I
But I don't know if that was appropriate for this.
It is appropriate. Catharsis for me in the writing process is about 5% of the experience. I would say it's 95% work, 5% catharsis. But the catharsis is so special and so important and so worth it that you don't mind doing the 95% work to get that catharsis. And for me, I do sometimes have catharsis in the planning stages of a book, but that's not as typical for me. I'm sure some authors experience that, but for me, a lot of the catharsis happens in the writing of the book, and that catharsis usually takes the shape for me of you finally hit upon something true that you can say that you didn't know you could say until you worked and wrestled with a particular chapter or a particular character or a particular storyline. And that's part of the long-term goal of writing. It's part of what keeps me going, is I know that it's a trusting, it's a faith that knows that God gives all good gifts. And just because I'm starting a chapter and I don't love it doesn't mean that God can't, throughout that process, give me something really good in it. And I suppose that's where experience is helpful. You can just go blindly and dumbly into a project knowing that you're pretty dumb about something, but know that in the work of it, in the study of it, in the toiling and the wrestling, God, He disciplines you and He gives good gifts.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And there's, I think, in any creative process, I don't do a ton of writing. I used to do like poetry back in the day in like high school, but in the creative process, there's a lot of push and pull and tension and release when you're trying to figure something out and you're trying to, design, you're trying to solve this problem of how to get it to work. And then you get it to work and it's like, yes, I got it to work, but now there's another problem and I need to solve this problem.
Tension and release, that's a really great phrase to apply to it, Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
I would say if we're thinking in the term of a week, you've got 4 days of tension, and that fifth day you get some release.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it is a cycle, and you learn that cycle, and you learn to just kind of trust that process. And I have learned that if you don't have the 4 days of toiling, you often don't really come up with something truly excellent to
Mm-hmm.
say. There's just, and as a Christian, there's something in that too that mimics life, that waiting on the Lord in all things.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a familiar space for me. Maybe that's why I don't mind returning to it so much.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have a favorite thing or something that you get the most joy out of in the writing process?
Yes. Of course, there are little things I enjoy along the entire journey, but probably most consistently, the thing that brings me the greatest joy, maybe I can say it best this way. A couple years ago, I think it was 2017, Rod Dreher came out with a book called, The Benedict Option. Mm-hmm. And our congregation, we had a little summer book group where we read it together and discussed it together. And in reading that book, Walker Percy, he's a novelist, and Rod Dreher is talking about things that Walker Percy believes and ideas he's a proponent of. Walker Percy in this book says that Christianity is a true story, and it's our story, and it's our story to tell. We have been given the gospel to proclaim, and we should not trust the world to tell that story. In fact, when the world tells the story of Christianity, the world gets it wrong, usually perverts it. And so as a creative novelist, what part of our job as creative Christians is to attack the fake in the world in the name of what is real. And this is how Walker Percy would talk about it. That we Christians, we need to become the best of storytellers so that we can tell our own story. Because our young people in the world, they're not going to be argued into Christian chastity or into morality by any maxims, by any law, but beauty and goodness that can be embodied in great art and fiction. This is something that stands a chance of lasting, of getting the attention of our youth. And so for me, Sarah, probably the thing I get the most joy out of is as a creative person participating in the telling of the true story.
Well, That writing process is quite a process and a creative process, and we have an opportunity to share. An opportunity that Katie's going to share with us for those who would like to engage in that writing process during the season of Lent. You're listening to the Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Golseth.
Stick around.